Chapter 2. My Creation. People always seem to think they know who I am and my true intentions for this world. The fact that I'm referred to as the Antichrist has some believing that I'm simply opposed to the principles of God, and that I can tell you is simply not the case. Actually, at this moment in time, my intentions are right on par with God's, as the survival of the human race is integral to both his and my plans. To understand who I am, you really just need to think for a moment. When God created the Omna, he tasked them to undertake the largest construction project of all time. Well, anyone who's ever built so much as a house knows before you lay the first brick, you take out an insurance policy to ensure the work would never be completely undone. That is precisely what I am. Before the Omna built heaven or even the first of the angels, they created me to ensure that their work could never be fully undone. I was, and still am, a concept in my purest form, a law of nature. Mikhail Luminov called me the law of conservation of mass. I was to watch over the whole of creation to ensure that nothing the Omna created could ever be truly destroyed. The problem with this is that the human race was not created by the Omna, but rather from the only three incarnations that God himself created: the Omna, the Figaro, and Eden. As this was the case, your God never suspected that I might take an interest in such a race. However, the thing that went largely unbeknownst to your God was that humanity, while being made from the elements of God himself, was indeed my creation as well. While the Omna enjoyed the kingdom of Eden, I was the only one among them that was not Omna, yet permitted to join in on all their pleasures. I danced, sang, laughed, and played with them all, and they honored me greatly, for I was the protector of all they had built. One of the greatest pleasures of the Omna was to play with the animals of Eden, a trait that was passed on to humanity. But among all animals, they found the jackal to be the most hilarious. I loved its jovial company. I can't count how many nights we would spend just playing with the jackals as we traded stories. Oh, those were indeed good times, when all was well with the world, and nothing could threaten us. On the day the angels came crashing in, and the carnage began, the guardian of the garden Omna looked upon the happenings, and knew instantly that this would not end in his favor. He and I hid within a cave as the cries of the Omna rang out. When the last of his subjects was slaughtered, he turned to me and said, "This world was made for us, and now I gift it to you. You are the last hope of creation. Without the Omna, nothing more can be created. But so long as you are, nothing we've created will truly be destroyed." With that, he placed his hand upon my head and changed my form into that of a jackal, and said, "In this form, you will arouse no suspicion. Now run and save yourself. I must now go join my brethren." With those last words, my king marched right up to Paimon, snatched the sword from his hands, and ran himself through. As I watched the sombering act of my king's sacrifice, committed the treasonous act of refusing his last request to allow him to be destroyed. I used what little power I could in my new form, and refused the pure destructive power of the Figure to take hold, leaving him as the pile of ash that was used by Michael to create all of you. A foolish act, I know. As if the angels had noticed, they would surely have hunted me down to be destroyed as well. Yet, and still, I loved the Omna in a profound manner that few of you may ever understand. And even though it could have meant the end of all that had ever been or ever could be, I would surely do it again if given the chance. Fortunately, with the presumed death of all the Omna, none of the angels had noticed that the Figure was still burning, and that the ash had landed upon Eden. They were simply too overcome with joy. At least until they were banished by the order of the throne. It was from the ash of the guardian of the garden Omna that Michael was able to craft humanity. So you see, you are as much my creation as God's, and indeed the only creation that both God and I can claim ownership of. The problem is that God wanted his original creations to return, while I, as your creator, desired for you to continue on your path, while my love for the Omna will never fade. Over time, I have come to understand all of which you are capable of, and furthermore, that all things must change, a concept you have come to call evolution. It was the Omna that tried to teach me about evolution eons before. They said for anything to exist, it must be able to adapt on its own. A tiny change here and there didn't seem like such a big deal to me then, but to be able to observe the majesty of their creations changing shapes and forms in a truly miraculous way over an indeterminable period of time, well, it's indescribable. You have no idea what it's like to see a giant lizard turn into a tiny bird, and know that you used to sing, dance, and play with the beings that made it possible. While my pervading graciousness to my former host might make you begin to wonder why I would not be in favor of their reemergence, the answer is quite simple. The Omna knew that for everything, there is a season, even for them, and indeed even for you. The Omna themselves created this truth, and as such, I do not believe that they would be in favor of their reemergence into existence. Of course, I am no Omna. Like all other beings in the universe, I'm simply one of their children. I'm afraid that much of the knowledge and understanding of the Omna are lost to us today. I have spent a great deal of time remembering the lessons that they once taught me, and as I begin to work them out, I do my best to silently spread the knowledge among your people. Although, I suppose since when we last left off, I was still a jackal, you might be wondering just how I managed this feat. Well, I should say that how I came into my present form is quite a tale indeed. But I suppose for now, it's best that I stop, so you have time to truly take in all that I have just told you.